What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler. We come to you each and every week to talk to you about the business of Moto. Guests in the industry that have done incredible things, guests in the industry that are building incredible things, and sometimes even special guests from outside the industry that can bring you some incredible knowledge to help you build your Moto career. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler. Appreciate you guys joining us today. Before we dive into our guest, I wanted to remind you to go to racerxonline.com/Moto Marketing. You can access the latest subscription or renewal promotion that they have going. Always a lot of great stuff there. Listen, today is a guest that it's I would say everybody's favorite man in moto. It's a fan favorite when he's on other shows like Pulp. One of the nicest guys in the pits and somebody that I've come to know over the last couple of years, and I'm super appreciative of that. And just an interesting guy all around who's doing a lot of different things. So I wanted to bring my friend Randy Richardson from Michelin, as well as Teenior Citizen, a project brand that he has on today, and to talk about his story and what he has going on today and what kind of led him up to that point. So Randy, thank you for joining us, man. It's always great to chat with you.
No worries, man. It's I'm glad we finally made this happen. I know that we've been wanting to do this for year and a half ish, so we finally made time for it, and it's been delays on my end more so than anything. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity
It's a rock star life, man. It's hard to get a rock star on a tiny little show like this. I think it was easier to get Steve Mathis on this show than Randy Richardson. But no, I mean,
well, yeah, it's he people think he has a life of leisure, but he's a busy man as well. Sure.
No, man, I appreciate it. And Randy, you've done a lot of really great things with the e-bike team that I've put together, and I've gotten to hang out with you and race with you and ride with you. It's been cool getting to know you, and man, everybody loves Randy Richardson. You're the quick-witted, fun-loving moto guy that knows everybody that's ever done anything cool in this sport. And believe it or not, I've had a lot of people who know that we do some work together on the e-bike side ask me, "When's Randy coming on? When's Randy coming on?" So you've been a pretty highly requested guest to come on the show, and you listen to the show, so you kind of know what I typically do. But man, I'd love to talk about just your story in an abbreviated version, I guess, because there's so many aspects to it. But you always promote how cool your job is on Instagram, but you've got a fun job.
Sarcastically, I do that.
Yes.
Yeah. You got the coolest job, Randy? Yeah.
You grew up racing. Like, what got you to where you're just a lifelong industry guy in the sport? Like, just always been passionate. I know you used to race professionally. Like, kind of for those that don't know and just know you from Pulp, give us the backstory on Randy Richardson.
Okay, so I was born at a very young age, and you missed that one, didn't you?
No, I got it.
Born at a very young age. No, so 55 years old. I've been with Michelin. February will be 31 years. So that's much of my professional career is with Michelin. The majority of, let's say. And you're right. I have some racing in my past. I raced privateer level Supercross in 93, 4, 5, and the pinnacle of my racing success was an 18th place in the one main event that I qualified for. So that's the pinnacle of that. But I guess more importantly, for me, the backstory where I'm blessed to be able to apply my passion and what I think is my purpose of helping others, and my passion for all things two wheels is my dad got me a 1971 Yamaha JT1 for my 4th birthday in September of 1970, and then shortly thereafter, learning to ride that in the front yard. I could reach the foot pegs but not the ground, so that was exciting. That's incentive not to fall for sure. And then shortly after that, Mom and Dad took me to go see On Any Sunday, which was a life-changing movie for, I think, myself and many, many others. And that's now coming out, on the 50th anniversary of that. So anyway, I've been around motorcycles my entire life, and all things two-wheel, and just really, really fortunate to be able to work in an industry that is directly connected with my personal passion and the passion of our consumers, dealers and distributor representatives and so on.
Yeah. we've had guests like Paul Parabinos and JT. They're really good examples of everybody has a different story of how they got to the position they're in. You've been with Michelin for a very long time. What was that journey? I mean, they're headquartered close to where you live. Did you live there? And like, how did you get that gig? And man, what's kept you there for as many years as you've been there?
Great question. My educational background is mechanical engineering and engineering graphics. So I grew up, working in and around my dad's tool and die machine shop, and recognized pretty early that I wasn't the gifted craftsman that he was. But drawing and creative things were always interesting to me. So pursued engineering graphics and mechanical engineering. And then ironically, when I first hired in with Michelin, my role was in maintenance in one of our semi-finished products plant, or a rubber production products plant. And then was there for a while and worked into the engineering group, and where then I began to apply, my curriculum or my educational background or what have you. And then had began racing a bit, this and that. As my racing progressed, I started racing some Supercrosses, 93, 94. And then it was along that timeline that I stumbled upon the fact that evidently we made off-road motorcycle tires, which, within the building, no one knew that, or within Michelin, not many people knew that, and not many people outside of Michelin knew that. We were very, very small, and our focus was more in the U.S. was more street oriented. So I connected within some Michelin coworkers, even though I didn't work directly with them, in the two-wheel group at Michelin, and got some, let's call it sponsorship. So for 95, I think I had like 8 or 10 free tires for the year, which was huge for me. So I switched off of the other brand of tire that I was on, and started using Michelin. And then through that, I networked into the two-wheel group, and just began building relationships there, and worked my way into a technical liaison role in the two-wheel group, working between North America and France, and then later on managing our racing involvement once we became more focused on that.
Yeah. Man, so you've got, I mean, you would never say this, but you're a pretty important person in Michelin. And I got to say, man, there was a lot of people on my team and just people passing by in the pits, because we pit right next to you guys, at one of the rounds this year for GNCC, that were just blown away that you're not afraid to get in and get your hands dirty. You guys were short-staffed at one of the events that you guys were doing some activation and mounting some tires up, and you literally mounted tires all day long, and it looked like the most grueling, miserable job I've ever seen. I didn't realize what it took. And then you stuck around. For those that don't know, at the end of a GNCC is the e-bike race at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So the last thing Randy probably wants to do is stand out in the field and cheer on a bunch of overweight cyclists ride their e-bikes around. And I look off to my right, and there's Randy cheering us on. So, man, I think I've told you that before. Like, that really, I knew you were a hard worker and a good guy, but when I saw that, I was like, you busted your ass all day. Why? Like, is it just what you were told to do? Like, it's just, I just don't understand that.
No. And thank you for you and those on your team that recognize that, right? And I think that's a work ethic that my dad instilled in me at a young age when I didn't want to chop wood, but I had to chop wood, and I hated chopping wood, but I learned to work hard, right? And nothing, I'm not above anything that I have done in the past or need to do within my current role. So for me, and the reason I was there at that event, so Brian Zerlo, who manages our on-site activation and technical support and everything that we do within GNCC on the motorcycle side and e-mountain bike side, Brian does a great job of managing that. He had a conflict and couldn't attend one event. So I was called in off the benches or out of the conference room, I guess, to go in. And for me, it was refreshing, right? Because I sit in on a lot of meetings internally within Michelin North America, not only the motorcycle bicycle side, but as we look at cross promoting and everything with the automotive side and trying to reach younger consumers and everything. So I'm involved in a number of meetings internally. And so getting to get out and just, break a sweat and change some tires. And then ultimately, I love helping people. So helping the racers who come to the GNCC events and choose the Michelin Starcross 5 tires and installing them for them, and knowing that I'm contributing to their racing success, and that racing success may
Sure.
be a 10th, and that may be for their best score of the season. But anyway, I'm not afraid to work hard and understand the racer's mindset, and to be able to contribute to their success is something I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah. Talk to me about, I'm trying to think the best way to word this. It is what it is. In today's social media world, Randy Richardson is as well-known as some of the big-name riders. And a lot of it is your relationship with Steve Mathis. You've got just a hilarious personality. It goes well with his show. So you make a lot of appearances, whether it's a call-in or you're a guest on there. So that's a big part of it. But I know growing up and as you kind of establish yourself in your career, you probably never thought you were going to get asked to stop and take pictures with people, and hell, I'm sure you've even signed an autograph or two. Like, what is that like from the aspect of, like, one, you're hilarious, but two, seeing the power of what this platform, the internet, podcast, social media, like, is that mind-blowing to you? Because I know you just look at yourself as a normal guy from, the Carolinas. Like, what is your thought on all that?
Wow. Yeah, that's a number of great questions or comments or what have you. And yeah, I've had the pleasure of working alongside, a number of, famous people. So famous in the motorcycle industry, whether it's, in the past working with Travis Pastrana when he was a goofy little 16-year-old millionaire, to, Kevin Windham and Grant Langston and others. So I've had the pleasure of working alongside famous people and seeing how they interact with others. And I haven't benchmarked from that, but I'm just, I applaud someone like Travis, for example, who is exactly the same person, whether there's, 50,000 people in the stands or 50 people in the bar. Right. So, but yeah, it's interesting to me. So growing up, in my era, getting up at 2 a.m. to record Supercross because my dad was too tight to buy the VCR that you could program, right? So I had to wake up, hit record, right? So going to the age of now where you have social media and every bit of information is just available across the world, right? Around the world instantaneously. That's different, right? So for me, any form of, I guess, notoriety or reputation that I have on behalf of Michelin, I'm thankful for that. I think that adds value to me or my existence because I'm associated with a premium brand that I think is a quality product, right? That's well received by consumers and so on. And then, yeah, I like to put my own personal spin on things and be myself and be authentic. I've always been, kind of quick-witted and smart aleck and sarcastic, and I think sometimes it's well received. Sometimes here within the building it's not so much, but externally it's fun.
Instagram seems like it's a really good platform for you, just because you really, I mean, Steve makes fun of you about it, but you take a lot of effort or put a lot of effort and time into crafting these stories. Like, is that, did you just like that platform? Did you see it as an opportunity for you to grow your name and then in hopes of doing what we're going to talk about next with Teenior Citizen? Yeah, no, never really was a plan on that, let's say, and I was slow to social media. So I was very slow to Facebook, and I was kind of slow to Instagram. Instagram for me was quite dormant for some time, and then I started kind of playing with it, and I guess my immaturity matured on the Instagram channel on that platform. So yeah, for me it's fun. And again, just I get to be myself and do what I like to do. I can be creative, and I can, I don't need to have 8 other people involved to have a conversation about what I should or shouldn't post or how I should or shouldn't word something. So for me, it's fun. I can just be me and be the to your point, the Teenior Citizen, the kid that I am. So the kid at heart that I am. So talk to us about that. I think it's such a cool brand. As soon as you showed me the logo a while back, like I got it. and I mean, I'm 32, and like I have your shirts, I have stickers, like.
Yeah.
It's a really cool brand that I think is easy to relate to. So where did that come from? What is the deal with that project?
So yeah, so a couple things. I don't know how the name of it popped into my mind. I went to Pastrana's house when I turned 50, and I backflipped into his foam pit numerous times, right? And since like I think '03 was the first time I did that. So I'd always done that. It was fun, and so I went there, did a backflip to dirt for my 50th birthday, and that was exciting. And I don't know how I just started calling myself, a Teenior Citizen as opposed to a senior citizen, because friends who were, my buddies who were in their 40s, right, were giving me a hard time about being 50, and I'm like, and then of course you get the AARP thing in the mail, which is not not encouraging at all. Yeah, so just being creative and always coming up with smart, like funny or creative words, right? So I derived or came up with Teenior Citizen, and started jokingly calling myself that, and then had the logo created, and just printed it on some T-shirts. And for a number of years, I would just wear that casually. No, they didn't exist other than ones that I had made for myself. And my good buddy Robbie was like, you got to do something with this brand. You've got to do something with this brand. And to be honest, I was just too busy, spread too thin, traveling too much, and what have you. And ironically, COVID put us in a situation where it was second quarter of 2020, that I really started, having some free time, with less travel, to work towards getting a trademark and getting websites set up and everything. And then so then I went out to launch the brand, let's say, or made it commercially available in November of 2020 on shopteeniorcitizen.com. And Mathis, who is a great friend I've known since 2000, he let me launch that on that platform, right? And I made it pretty clear early on with coworkers, hey, I'm going to take vacation time. I'm going to use my Delta Sky Miles and fly out there and participate in this World Vet race, which is exceptionally unorganized, right? And then I'm going to launch my brand on my friend's platform. So I want to make sure that I was very clear with Michelin that I'm going to do this, but it's not on Michelin's dime. It's not on Michelin's time. And I'm super thankful for Steve to let me have that platform to launch it on. Yeah.
So it's just a fun brand that you kind of, what you see now is what you get. Do you have goal aspirations to do more? I mean, you've got hoodies, you've got shirts, you've got coffee mugs, hats, you've got some really cool stuff.
Coffee mug, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, that's why you got to watch the show. You know why we're laughing. You know what? I've just thought of this. We need to have a Teenior Citizen logo on our gear next year. That would be for the e-bike team. That'd be funny. And Randy rides on the team on occasion too. So what's the goal for the brand? I mean, is it just it is what it is and something fun for you to do, and that's kind of where you want to keep it?
Yeah. For me right now, it's a fun, passionate, creative escape, right? From the corporate world, which I'm blessed to work in. I'm sitting here in one of our breakout rooms here at Michelin, and I love the brand, I love the company, I love our consumers, our customers, and so on. But this is something that's it's just me. It's 100% me, and what I want it to be, short term, long term, is I want it to be a brand that young at heart, regardless of your age, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or so on, if you are passionate about being active and feeling young at heart and staying active, right, then I think that's a brand you can connect with, right? You're 32 and I'm 55, but if either one of us hear a song that takes us back to our teenage years, like, we immediately have an emotional connection to that. And so for me, I want the brand to be something that recognizes and celebrates that and helps people as we age to remain young at heart. My mom and dad dad's 77, mom's 76, and they're still very youthful in many ways. I got to ride dirt bikes with dad recently at 77.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's what I want it to be. And then long term, I would like the brand to be something that would help inspire older people who have become more stagnant or dormant or just sitting around and growing old to rediscover their youth, to rediscover, maybe it's, for example, e-mountain bikes. I think is a phenomenal opportunity for someone who says, for example, I used to ride bicycles years ago, right? Get them on an e-bike and let them rediscover their passion for bicycle and for moving and for being active. And
Absolutely.
whether that's hiking, snow skiing, or surfing, out on the lake, fishing, whatever that is, that reconnects you with some younger years. That's long term. That's kind of my vision for it. Yeah,
I love that. Kind of jumping back to the Michelin side of things as we start to wrap up. I don't want to keep Randy too long. He's a busy guy. What the GNCC partnership you guys have? You've had a pretty big presence, in the pits this past year, and man, I just watch people come through, nonstop, just, putting the, maybe taking a competitor off and putting, the Michelin product on. What are some things that maybe, you didn't make it to all the races this year, but I know you get feedback from the guys that are there, but you were at a few of them. So what do you make of that partnership? It's a different audience than the Moto, the Supercross guys. It's a really core, passionate audience. What did you take away from so far with your GNCC partnership?
For us, the key takeaway is we're able to build relationships at the grassroots level, at the ground level with riders of all ages, skill sets, and bike sizes, and so on. Right, is what we wanted to do. Historically. So in the early 2000s, while I managed our Supercross and Motocross racing, which would have been as many of the other brands were doing then, we had prototype development tires, right? So where you would cater to this rider or that rider's preference as far as a casing or a compound or what have you, and you're taking care of those finite little details, right? Whereas I think. And at the same time we were doing that, I was overseeing our involvement at the time with KTM North America, who had a number of GNCC championships that we won together with Shane Watts, with Juha Salmon and David Knight and so on, and Mike Lafferty on the enduro side. So we had a lot of racing success at the top level, but we never had any on-site activation, right? So moving forward to going into the 2021 year. So in 2020, our director was asking about what can we do to improve, consumer awareness on our off-road motorcycle side and so on, right? And respectfully, this person was a bit disconnected from Supercross, Motocross. So the thought was, we can go do that. No. That takes a MotoGP like commitment as far as product development. I said we have great commercially available products that will be advantageous for the general consumer who's competing in a GNCC motorcycle race. So knowing the Coombs family and knowing how popular and how many riders are participating in GNCC, that's where we began some conversations. And Tim Cotter was great to work with, and along with the Coombs family, and made room for us alongside their existing brands that are sponsored, they're active on motorcycle. So yes, we worked towards getting a truck and a trailer and kick it off at the first event. But again, our efforts were to build relationships with grassroots riders, offer contingency. We're selling tires and Michelin Starcross 5 tires and Michelin Bib Moose on site. We provide free installation, whether or not the racer purchased the tires from us on site or they purchased them from another online retailer or dealer or what have you. So adding value for the racer and building brand awareness for us is something that is our initiative there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's
and sorry for the long answer, but
no, it's good. Yeah. It's, it was interesting to watch so many people come up that hadn't had a Michelin product on, that were having them put on, and then people coming back and having great things to say about it. It was cool to see that firsthand. And we're pitted as right in the thick of the vendor area, so I got to see that all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the great things that we're able to do, Michelin as a brand, we offer so many products for the consumer, and it's one of the South Carolina rounds, I think that you all attended as well. We had Alexei Garson, who is the president of Michelin North America. So he's responsible for plus or minus 25 to 30,000 employees, right?
Yeah.
But he made time on his calendar to come there and see firsthand, to walk down in the woods and see firsthand consumers using our products and other brands, and see a whole different side of a consumer set, right?
Sure.
And then so I had coordinated to have a side by side with some of our BF Goodrich UTV tires on there. Took him a tour around, and it was really eye opening for him and others within our marketing group on the four-wheel side to look at the number of 18-wheelers, the Sprinter vans, the SUVs, and trucks and trailers and everything that were there, right? So we've obviously along the way, you've seen that we have our Michelin RV tires, we have our Michelin automotive light truck tires on display. So the cool thing for us is we can display and build relationships on behalf of our entire product portfolio, and we're not just motorcycle, bicycle.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a great thing that's been really successful for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that everybody at that South Carolina GNCC thought that Ginger Billy from TikTok was the most important person at that race, and little did they know that the man from Michelin was at that race.
Yes, and it is funny. It's funny you're talking earlier, which I in no way, shape, or form think of myself as famous or anything like that in any way, but we were walking down through the woods to the creek, the big
Yep.
hill climb in the creek down there, and someone that we met in passing said, just yells out, "That's the fastest man in Piedmont right there," and of course I chuckled, and Alexei, who's our president, looks like that doesn't make sense to him, right? And then so that I spoke to them and everything, and there's some guys out of Indiana that came down there and either recognized me from Pulp or from my social media or whatever it was. But anyway, so I had a cool chat with them and this and that, and we began walking on, and Alexei said, so I understand that you are famous. And I'm like, no. I'm not famous. I'm, be it good or bad, I'm kind of directly associated with Michelin. I explained to him that I'm, relatively well known within the motorcycle industry and directly connected with Michelin. And that's just because I've been, I think, doing, I've either, and I'll use it in corporate terms, I've either met requirements or exceeded requirements for quite some time. So,
yeah.
Man, it's good.
You're an, and I mean, look, this, and Michelin knows this. You're an asset to Michelin in this space. Like when somebody thinks of Michelin, they think of for motorcycle tires, they think of Randy, and part of it's because you're passionate and believe in the product that you represent, and part of it is, man, you're hysterical, and people can't get enough of you. When this is probably the most calm, normal version of Randy that anybody's ever heard on a podcast. So I'm excited to bring him a different version of you because, man, you're as funny in person and as you are on the Pulp show. So,
well, I firmly believe it's one of my personal Randyisms that I try to live by every single day. Is there's always enough time to have a good time, and
right.
And I think if we're not doing that, we got to make some adjustments to our life priorities, right? We're not having fun. So.
No doubt. Well, Randy, man, I appreciate you coming on, and man, I really am looking forward to hanging out with you more at 2022 GNCCs, and I appreciate your friendship and all the help you've given me on with the e-bike team, and maybe one day if you're ever at High Point for the motocross race, we'll be able to get you in studio for a special episode. But man, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I would love to do that, and again, I don't want to gloss over or miss. With the Impact e-mountain bike racing team has been great partner for us at Michelin to further extend our activation and our reach and our brand awareness that we have at the GNCC events. I think yourself and the others that contribute to running the team do a class act job, a top level job, and had a couple of championships this year, a few championships on behalf of the team and on Michelin bicycle brand products. So we greatly appreciate that, and look forward to working with you all in the coming year and continuing our relationship with the GNCC racing moving forward. So
we appreciate
fun times ahead. Yeah,
absolutely.
And as soon as and I definitely want to do some more of those races. I love those. They're so much fun.
Randy's quick, everybody. Don't sleep on Randy. If you're ever at one of these events, man, Randy's got some speed. He's no joke. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
It's super fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super fun. And another one on my bucket list is the Dave Coombs, the senior, the vintage ride day up there.
Yeah.
I want to bring some old Husqvarnas and come up there and participate in that there at High Point. So I got to make that one. It seems like inevitably when I do see it on the calendar, it's either I've got something planned or I see on social that it's happening and I'm not there. So I've got some things. I got some things on my bucket list moving forward. I definitely want to do. So
we'll show you a good time if you make it up for that. We'll show you a good time. There's a lot of good spots around here, food, riding, whatever. So we'd love to have you up for that and get you in studio. And man, I appreciate the friendship and all the help, and looking forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impact Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.